Coming back home for the holidays has felt so different this year. To be honest, I am someone who is 39. I am rebuilding and I am still nowhere near back on my feet. So, with that, there's this quiet fear about bumping into people and having to explain where I'm at, what I'm doing, why things didn't go as planned. And there is definitely a part of me that feels really embarrassed. There's also another part that's hoping that this fresh start at everything that I'm trying to build here on out is actually going to work out. This last week, since I've been back home in Bermuda, has felt really messy. There have been travel delays and so much holiday prep, but I have had a few small wins. And there's actually been a few meetings that are giving me a little bit of hope to cling to. So I'm going to share a little recap of the last week and just what's been happening as I rebuild my life abroad. This is the honest version and not the polished one. So hopefully I don't get too emotional and I can share what's been on my heart. The first thing I'm going to talk about is what emotions have come up when I actually came back home, especially around work and identity and feeling behind at 39. And so there have been so many emotions. It has literally been a roller coaster. A few minutes ago, I was having breakfast at a lovely hotel. I was waiting for a friend, but then she canceled and we're actually going to meet tomorrow. And so I just had some time to look at my phone, to read a little bit, to journal, to make some notes. And I got really emotional for good and bad reasons. It felt really overwhelming the last year. Just so many things, so many little things, so many hard things came up last year that slowly started to break me down. Even though I tried to remain optimistic and keep moving forward, it was a lot and it was heavy. And I was constantly trying to be strong and to feel like I still had things all together. But the reality is that there were still a lot of unanswered questions, a lot of things I wasn't sure about, lack of clarity, not sure about the timing of everything, even though I wanted things to work really quickly and to just happen at a pace that I wanted. Everything was really slow. And so that was really hard. And so since I've been back home, I run into lots of people that I know from my life here and family and friends. And so everyone's asking me, like, so what are you up to these days? How's business going? And that's been a question that's really humbling and really scary for me to answer because I'm like, hey, yeah, my business is kind of wrapped up and I'm thinking about my next steps. And I try to frame it in a positive way. I tell people all the things that I am working on. We have, real estate that we are building and we are trying to get other streams of income up and running. But if I tell the truth, I think there would be a lot of emotions, a lot of sad emotions, because I'm just not sure what comes next. And so that's exactly where I've been. I know that people love me and they want the best for me, but it's just hard to sometimes admit that things haven't gone the way that you hope they would, or that you don't have things all together or figured out, and that you're in this place of not knowing what comes next. And so that's exactly where I am. I'm still hopeful. I'm still, keeping the faith. And I think even just now, there were some, beautiful emotions that came up when I was doing this journaling exercise. I was just thinking about being thankful. I was thinking about how God has come through for me in a lot of different times in my life when I was in this same position, maybe not completely jobless or not sure about what comes next, but when I didn't have clients and when, money was low and I just wasn't sure what was gonna happen next. I definitely know for sure that God has come through in those times and those moments. And so just trying to remember that He's got me, that He cares for me, that I am His girl, just like we are all His girls. And so that has definitely been something that was both making me weep. I was weeping in this restaurant and wiping my face because I'm just trying to believe that He loves me and He cares and that everything is not a surprise for Him. It's just a matter of time. And so that's what I've been working on lately. And that's exactly what I am trying to remain hopeful and positive about and not allowing myself to spiral into the negative thoughts. Just remember the fact that He's come through before, the fact that God has come through just in the nick of time, or maybe a little bit later than I wanted, but He's definitely come through. And in that waiting period, in that scary period, it's just about holding on to faith, holding on to trust, and not allowing myself to turn away from Him, just literally clinging to Him like my life depends on it, because it kind of does. And so that's exactly where I am right now. Like I said, journeying through some of the fears of judgment from other people and just feeling like my story didn't end up the way I wanted to, but also on the flip side, on the positive side, trying to cling to faith and allowing this experience to actually strengthen and sharpen my faith muscle. So, I also want to share in this video a small win and a few moments that have shifted my energy this week. Even if my life isn't all figured out yet, I actually had a really positive meeting maybe about a month or 6 weeks ago. I had this kind of nudge that there was an idea and a project that I was supposed to be working on. And so I remember when I had my PR and communications business that there was a gap or a need within my community back here in Bermuda. And I started to send out some emails, started to follow up to see if anything was actually done to address that need that people had expressed. And so I found out that nothing really had been done, nothing concrete. And so I decided, okay, let me work on this project. Let me try to move it forward and then have meetings with them back home to share the idea with people and see if it pans out. The really amazing thing about being from such a small community, because there's always pros and cons, one of the blessings is that I have been able to reach people in positions of power to share this idea. And so one of the people that I'm meeting with actually tomorrow, who thankfully got back to me, is actually a government minister. And I get to share my idea with them. And I'm not sure if they'll go for it, but I think that it's a positive idea and it has a lot of weight to it. I already, like I said, had a meeting, I think my first day back, the next day after I got back on Sunday. And so I had a meeting on the Monday and it was so positive and the person was so excited about it. And they're also in a position of authority and they have a lot of respect and weight in terms of their position in our community. And so I was super excited to share the idea with them. They were so helpful. They gave me some really good constructive criticism and feedback, and I'm gonna share the videos that I worked on, share the idea and proposal with the minister tomorrow, and then I have one more meeting with two other people the last day before I leave. So that'll be on January 6th. So hopefully by then I might have even more things to share about what I've been working on and some small wins. But it's just been helpful to hear that people care about the idea and that it actually has some merit, that it's not just me and my mom and my husband that think it's a good idea, that it's actually something that people think there could be a need for. And so I'm hopeful. I'm not 100% sure yet if it will be the thing that gives me the momentum to get out of this hole and to provide me a job and an income while I continue to grow my coaching and other things that I'm working on. But I'm really, really trying to stay hopeful and trying to stay optimistic and not trying to spiral. So that's where I am. That's the small win and the hope that I'm trying to continue to cling on to. And so the last thing I wanted to chat about in this video is how I'm actually learning to sit with uncertainty instead of rushing to have answers. And I'll be honest, this one is really, really hard for me. I wish I had the answers. I'm a type of person who likes to control, who likes to have a plan, who likes when things are orderly and I can predict what's coming next. The period of uncertainty is so hard for me. I'm finding that I am more and more conscious of my nervous system. I'm more and more conscious of the need to breathe. I'm trying to not put so much pressure on myself that it impacts my stress levels, it impacts how I show up with my kids. And so that's where I am right now. I'm trying to enjoy the holiday season, trying to do things with friends and family. And also, I try to remind myself before that important meeting, and I'll try to remind myself tomorrow before the second important meeting, that I am not in control. That all I can do is show up and bring my best energy to this meetings and to sharing these ideas, but I don't have the final say. And so you have to kind of let the outcome go, unfortunately, because it's not in your hands solely. But what you can do is show up with the best energy possible and share your ideas and share your project, and hopefully it'll result in the outcome that you're looking for. And so that's really been the journey that I've been on. It's been fun and exciting, but also really, really scary to be in this place of just so much uncertainty and learning to continue to trust God. This is just an exercise of me trying to deepen my faith, trying to get to know myself and get to know myself in times when I am not thriving, times when I am maybe just surviving and going from day to day, week to week. And so if you've ever been in the situation where I am, where life has not gone exactly as you planned and you're rebuilding again, trust me, I understand it is so hard, and I'm so excited to at least get to go on this journey, and we'll see how things change or unfold over the 90 days. Hopefully I have just the most amazing testimony to share at the end of that 90 days. But if not, then I'll keep going, because obviously we can't give up. Life is going to be beautiful. We just have to give it time and just keep doing what we can, keep doing our part, keep searching, keep taking the steps, keep taking action, and keep the faith. I think that's the most important and the most challenging thing, is keeping the faith in ourselves, in our dreams, in God, in the things that are bigger than us. And so that's exactly where I am. It's just been about nervous system awareness, self-awareness, and trying to keep calm when I am uncertain about the outcome of things. And like I mentioned, surrendering. That's just been my word of the last year, definitely the last 6 months, is surrendering, because I am not in control of everything, and I have to leave room for God. I have to leave room for God to show up and for it to pull me closer to Him, to draw me closer to Him, to depend on Him, and not think that I have everything sorted out, to think that I am in control, because we are not. Sometimes in my head, I think that God uses these situations where we have done everything in our power and have to humble ourselves and come back to Him, because that's what He wants. He wants us to be in a posture of understanding that He is God and we are not, and that we need Him. We cannot do everything on our own. No man is an island. So that's where I am. I am still trying to figure things out. And some days I feel super confident. Other days I feel like I am starting from complete scratch. But being here back in Bermuda, back around family, has reminded me that even when life feels shaky, I'm allowed to rebuild at my own pace. And so it's about one small win, one brave conversation, one honest update at a time. And so if you're in that uncomfortable in between two, I really, really hope that you will join me and just keep going. And so I hope you'll subscribe and follow along as I share this next step in the 90-day rebuild.